lucky people, here's part 2. So I'm just standing on the other side of Aerodrome Road. I thought this was quite funny. Modern living with a historic heart. Yeah. Oh, this is other things that the developer does. So yeah, they go and find, you know, areas to build stuff and try and make out that they're doing a favour for heritage. Questionable, really. Can't walk that way. Right. So I'm just going to take a little walk up here, because when I shot my other video, I pointed up and we were looking at an old bit of the aerodrome which had been moved. So right now, this Aerodrome Road just over there, right now, 100 years ago, I would be on the site of Hendon Aerodrome. And in fact, 100 years ago would be, 1925. So this was actually RAF Hendon at that point. None of this was here. And in fact, what would have been here 100 years ago would have been some buildings, but there would have been things like tents, believe it or not. Just the short-term things. But there would have been hangars for aircraft. But as we move up here, in the far distance is the old Grahame White Watch Office. Now this building is supposed to be, or where it was originally, it's supposed to be the world's first control tower. I don't know whether that can actually take that claim, but it's certainly one of the first ones. In terms of being somewhere where you had a tower where people could stand and with binoculars or whatever, they could see what was going on the airfield, and they could be in control of it. And obviously as radio communications came in, they could then direct people. So I'm just going to shoot up here. It'll take a long time to walk up here, but there is a good thing at the end. So I'm just going to pause a second because I can see a security guard who's going to ask me what I'm doing. Hold on. Still right. So I'm now, it's a lot better now, there's not so many people around. This is the back of the Grahame White Watch Office building, but in fact what you're looking at, this back bit here with the gates, was originally on Aerodrome Road, and it is the entrance to the Grahame White factory, or the offices for the factory. See, it says Grahame White Aviation Company Limited, and that was the company logo, and it was built in 1915, just after the war had started. This is a recreation. These gates were originally, I remember back in the 70s, they were on the outside of the RAF Museum, and then they've been moved over to here as part of this relocation of the building, the historic building. So in fact what you've got is the back and the front of what was a spinal building, and they've just condensed it. I mean, it's better than it being demolished, I suppose, but it's listed as part of Britain's heritage, actually, believe it or not. It is. But this building here that it's been stuck onto is the old Grahame White factory. This was built around about 1917, I think, and it was built, I think, with Ministry of Works or the War Department funded it, much like quite a few of the buildings that were put up in the war period on this site, for Grahame White to build aeroplanes, but it was for a contract he had for Handley Page bombers for the 0400 bomber. That's what I've been led to believe. So that's the back of it, it's just a brick wall. Over there is the Midlands rail line, and over here is all this new development. So yeah, you can probably just see how that roof line has been severely shunted down. It used to run a bit longer than that. But I remember this building on Aerodrome Road back in the 80s and 90s, and it was forlorn. It was used by the RAF as an RAF, I think it was called the Pageant Club. They had it. It had been painted over. It was in a terrible state. It really was very, very sad. But to be honest with you, I am a little bit disappointed that, you know, it's been neglected. I mean, this could have been something quite interesting. But I mean, look, the doors are all, the paint's peeling off and everything. I mean, this was being redone only within the last, I don't know, 15, 20 years. Very, very sad to see it get neglected like it is. So yes, there you go. That's a tangible bit of history. And another bit of history next to it. And stuck in with all this development here. But that's the price you pay if you ask a developer to help you out and move stuff, because it's very expensive to take a building to pieces and rebuild it. It's not something that the RAF Museum could have afforded. So that's the price you pay. But I am a bit dismayed to see that it's rather neglected again. So I would appeal to someone to actually perhaps just come and do a bit of weeding and paint the doors. I don't know what it is with this country, the UK. We have such a terrible regard for our heritage. It really upsets me. We are just so ignorant of our own heritage. We bang on about Union flags and this, that and the other and Churchill, yet here's a bit of England's, Britain's heritage just being allowed to be neglected for no other reason than a pot of paint and someone do some weeding. I'll leave it there. Thank you for watching.